Hey YouTube, Sean from Top 5 Fit again. Today I'd like to go over what we do here with these chains. Now, a lot of you have been to gyms all across the country and you see bright yellow or orange straps with the letters TRX on them. Well, those TRX straps are wonderful. If you don't have a pair, get a pair. But before TRX, I used chains. And even when they were invented and developed and created and passed out to the masses, I decided to stick with my chains. One thing you'll note, big difference between the TRX and the chains. The TRX straps have locking mechanisms that will actually attach them to different points on a climbing wall or on a pre-designated spot. And that's okay. It keeps things nice and stable. I have never once fixated my chains to the top of this cage, and I do that on purpose. There is a little bit of instability that's added because the chains can potentially slide left to right, so you have to fire things in a certain manner in order to not make that happen. And that secondary tissue recruitment is important to me. So what we're going to go through today are 5 movements, 5 exercises that you can do with either the TRX if it's available to you at your gym, or chains. Okay, exercise number 1 with the chains, chain squats, or I like to call them water ski squats. For those of you who have never water skied before, or you have only downhill snow skiing, when you snow ski, you have a tendency to lean forward, obviously to control the tips and control the blades up underneath your feet. When you water ski, it's a little opposite. You need to lean back, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. You want to lean back. I like to keep the thumbs up towards the ceiling, or otherwise known as a candlestick grip. Keeping the thumbs up towards the ceiling, let your arms completely straighten out. You still want to try to maintain a straight line between your shoulders, your hips, and your knees before you start. I like to keep the toes pointing straight forward, and as I start to sit in the squat, you'll notice my knees never go over top of my toes. This is a wonderful therapeutic or rehabilitative squat that I've given many of my clientele who have had knee replacements or just knee issues in general. It allows the squat to happen, and it maintains good form while it's happening. Some common mistakes right off the bat when I show people these squats is they immediately want to work their upper body and they start pulling. And the bad part about that is now you're actually taking your knees over top of your toes, which is kind of defeating the purpose of doing this type of squat anyway. So if your elbows are bent and you're not exactly letting your arms straighten out, now I have a tendency to get pulled forward by the trains, and that's pulling my knees over top of my toes and pulling my heels off of the ground. So you want to make sure you actually let the arms straighten out. And other than the grip, everything else should be fairly relaxed, and always coming back to that point of having a straight line from your shoulders to your hips to your knees. Okay, exercise number 2, a variation off of the water ski squat. We're just going to go ahead and add some difficulty and take this to a single leg. So what we'll do is we'll bring the desired foot we want to stand on, whether it's your right or left, a little bit more center, and then actually pick up the opposite leg, and it's going to stay there. So as we come down into the squat, we can go ahead and take that back knee behind and use it almost as a judge as far as how close we are to the ground. And then go ahead and pull it right back up. And I like to bring the knee up nice and high. If you're a runner, this is good form. It works on the hip flexors. And it also forces you to pay attention to balance a little bit at the top of the rep. Let's take a look at that again. So we lean back, pick up the opposite leg, bring that knee back down towards the ground, coming into that single leg squat, getting nice and close, almost touching the knee, bringing it right back up, a little higher than parallel to the floor, obviously, because we're leaning back. One of the nice things about the single leg water ski squat, it's a great lead up and progressive step towards learning pistol squats. So if I bring my leg forward, sit into the squat, stand it right back up, there's your pistol squat. Back here, takes a little bit of the difficulty of holding that opposite leg straight out in front of you, and you can focus a little bit more on the balance aspect of the exercise. Okay, exercise number 3 with the chains, chain pikes. And this is a core-based activity, and some balance is involved. It also kind of mimics some of the stresses you would see with the ab wheel. You're on your knees, you have to extend your body out nice and far and then bring it back in, all contracting your midsection while it's happening. So to get into position, Hands, and again, I like to keep the thumbs up, that candlestick position. Both feet up on the bar behind. Now, obviously, that's going to add a lot of pressure and a lot of control element to the exercise. So if you don't feel like you're ready for that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with keeping your feet on the floor. But for here, since I have the bars, I'm going to go ahead and put my feet up on them. Now, some people prefer to put their arches. I prefer to put the toes. It gives me a better control as far as gripping the bar is concerned. Maintain the thumbs up. I'm going to pull through my midsection hard enough that I can actually tap hamstrings and glutes on the bar behind me, and then bring it out to a flat position. Again, going after that straight line from the shoulders to the hips to the knees. Okay, a couple of things you want to pay attention to when you're actually performing this. This is not a momentum-based activity, and every now and then I have to even check myself to make sure that we're not bouncing against the bar and just swinging through the movement. The idea is to keep the tissue under tension so that you're actually developing your abdominal wall and getting the look that you want. So slower and is better. Quality matters, not necessarily rep count. So basically the 2-count pause you take up is the same 2-count pause you want to take on the way back out. To add difficulty to the exercise, we've got 2 things that you can do. One, if we take the arms out a little bit farther, that's obviously going to put more pressure into the abdominals, so it's going to make the body position harder to maintain, and that looks like this. I have a tendency to bring my hands together if I'm already planning on taking my hands out farther, and then as I come out, we'll actually extend through the shoulders. And we can also pause at the top. Extend through the shoulders, pause at the top. All right, another variation off of the chain pikes, again, is to go single leg. So what we'll do here is just remove one foot from the bar, keep it in a fixed position, bent knee, keep the foot off of the ground, and we're performing the exact same movement. So both feet go up. We're going to take one leg off. We still pull through the core, tap, bring it back out in front. Candlestick grip, tap, bring it back to a flat position. All right, the last exercise we're going to look at, number 5, chain push-ups. These are a good time because it adds the element of instability. Obviously, we're in the same position that we were in at the beginning of the chain pikes. The only difference is now we're actually going to do a push-up. So we'll go ahead and load in. Candlestick position for the hands, feet, toes on the bar. I like to be about shoulder width as far as the feet are concerned. We've got the straight line from the shoulder to the hips down to the knee, and then we're just going to bend at the elbows, keeping them almost pointed behind, all the way down, and then push right back up. One thing you want to pay attention to when you're doing chain push-ups. Obviously, there's an instability element. The grips, the chains can go anywhere. So you really want to focus on actually keeping your hands and your thumbs almost directly underneath your shoulders. If you bring your hands out too far, it turns almost into a tricep press, and your body weight on that, it's not going to feel very good. If you come back too close to the waist, you're going to dump your head right into the ground. That doesn't feel good either. All right, that wraps it up for today's video. Let's go ahead and recap the exercises we covered. We did a water ski squat, both hands holding onto the chains, both feet on the floor, leaning back, drop the butt as deep down as you can get, stand it all the way back up. We modified that into a single leg water ski squat, where we actually just did it on one foot, picking the knee up, keeping it in front of us, and using it as a point of measure as far as how low we should get in that single leg squat. We also made a point to kind of let you know that that's a good progressive movement into pistol squats. And there was a demonstration where we stuck the leg out in front of us and sat back towards the heel and brought it right back up. Moving on to the chain pikes, number 3 and number 4, making sure to maintain some type of contraction at the top, keeping the butt in or the hamstrings in contact with the bar, and then bringing it back out to a nice flat position, making sure we get that straight line from the shoulder to the hip to the knee. And then of course moving into single leg chain pikes, where we remove 1 foot from the bar, same contraction across the core, only now we're doing it with 1 foot in contact. And then finally, the chain push-ups. Maintaining the hands up underneath the shoulders, making sure they're not too far behind or too far in front of us, as well as nice and controlled movements up and down. So if you like what you saw today and you think it's something that you can add into your current workout regime, please do so. If you have any comments or questions on what we did, or you'd like us to cover another topic, feel free to leave it in the comment box below. And don't forget to subscribe, because there's going to be more videos. Thanks for watching.